what to do. She looks like an amazing touch player. She's one to be touted for the future. If you notice in that pod, they ran with 2 males on, which in mixed, you don't really want to do, especially in the adult game, but she is just as good as any of the men on that pitch. And you can see she's calling the shots. She's telling the blokes, yeah, you might be slightly faster over 5 yards, but I can read the game better. This is where you need to go. And France are just making Ireland pay when they get the opportunity.
Yeah, that middle combination of Leah, Martin Mendez-Lopez and Martin Punier are creating some serious problems for Ireland. They're responding pretty well. They're keeping France honest, but France looking very impressive. But this Ireland side has got plenty about them, and in those Finnan brothers, they have a couple of rare talents, as we see Philip Finnan showing just that, stepping one way and the other. It's a great diving touch coming in from Lichtel. Finnan and now Dunn. And now Dunn again from Finnan. Dunn dives, touch comes in.
Brilliant call from the referee. Just sees that the middle's offside. The Ireland player has to step back on the inside to get to the line. Really good call.
Dunn
Sweeper
and
play.
Finnan. Now they get it across to the hands of David O'Byrne. They'll come back again. Ireland threatening here. There's a bit of space on the right-hand side if they can get it there early, but France just shuffle across to cover it off. So Dunn and Finnan work together again. Finnan's across the line. Can he find someone spare? He's looking, he's looking. Not quite this time. Oh, and France are on for the intercept. No one's quite noticed. And they get across to their box, as they have done all game, with just consummate ease and calmness. And they've got that danger pod on again.
Oh!
Just can't quite be gathered into Martin Mendez-Lopez's spell.
Yeah, maybe just needed a more sympathetic pass there. That was really rifled up air. But the defence of this France side has been so good. Never really surrendering space when not needed. Always making touches. The referee just calls offside there. I think that's one of the only midfield infringements that France have made so far. And that shows, because Ireland haven't had many possession where they can get at the line, and when they do, they have been, they've been victim to some unforced errors, and that really hurts your opportunities.
Finnan throws it wide.
Oh, unlucky.
3 minutes left. Ireland will be thinking, if they can go into half-time 6-3 rather than 6-2, and they've got a wonderful opportunity to try and create that here, they'll be thinking, we're in touch here. They'd love a score.
A 3-score difference is not insurmountable. A 3-score difference is easy to climb, and it believe that they're going to get a score given here. Yes, they are. Brilliant little open side quickie, just gets underneath the covering defender, and that's the reward you get for creating sustained pressure. If you're forcing turnovers consistently, the defence is going to get tired, and then you're going to have weaker legs to run at, and that's exactly what's happened there, and Ireland get their rewards.
And it's that man again, John Finnan, crossing the line, and as we say, closing that gap down to just 3. Couple of minutes left until the hooter. They need a good defensive set here, do Ireland. France so threatening when they get into these positions. Just toying with the Irish defence at the moment. Could be some space if they can find it. Across the line they go, and they find that space. Enzo Courtial with his second, his side 7th. And that gap's back out to 4 again. Yeah,
and for me, this comes from the variation they ran earlier. You could hear the sub-bot screaming back door, so they run the open side quickie instead. Little dummy on the inside. The link always has to chase out because there's an overlap. And it's easy option there for the ball carrier just to recognise that the defensive retreated over the line, gets the ball down, and now Ireland need to make a score to bring it back down to 3 tries the deficit.
They do indeed. 1:15 roughly to go. John Finnan, ball in hand, back in hand, dives to the line. Has he got across? No, he's not. Forward pass, unfortunately, the base of the ruck.
You know, when you're running those quickies at the moment, I think both Finnan brothers are doing it. They're stepping a little bit too much forward rather than sideways, so you give the refs a decision to make whether it's forward or not. Because you're always moving forward, the refs will always be looking at it. So you can maybe just be a little bit smarter in the way that you dump, just to get the referees on side more.
Scooping through goes Punier. Can he find a spare player? He's looking, he's searching, but the touch comes in. Finnan diving full length to make it, and just getting there in the nick of time before Punier could find the spare player.
Cover a lot of ground at full length, I'll tell you that as well. That is a wingspan and a half. It's much better defensive set from Ireland, remaining composed under pressure. Much better transition, driving it up the box side, and they've got fresh legs on nice and early now.
Hooter fires off. Can Finnan create some magic to finish? Oh, nearly can. Touch comes in though, and that's half time. We head in with France leading Ireland 7 scores to 3, but it has been a high level opening 20 minutes of touch here.
Yeah, definitely. These guys are playing touch way beyond their years, way beyond their years. The France side look electric in their transition. When they get into touches 4 and 5, it really does become a foot race because they're pegging Ireland back. Ireland are always retreating to get onside, and France are able just to put the burners on, go through 3 or 4 of their danger players, really enjoying themselves out there. And Ireland, you know, rough circumstances to come here, but you've put yourself in a good position. You know, France are a very strong side. 4 tries down, okay. Got off to a bit of a slow start, okay. But now you've got 20 minutes. You've got 20 minutes to tighten up defensively and to make it pay when you get to the other end. And they've shown that they can do both of those things.
And I guess if you're Ireland, you know, to still be in touch, you know, as we say, you know, they're not the most ideal circumstances to arrive in. They're still in touch in this. Wouldn't want the gap to get any bigger, you'd say. But what can they work on? It looks to me as though perhaps defensively they can try and get a couple more touches in before France get across to make their subs, and perhaps in attack it's just try and reduce that error count a little bit.
Yeah, so I think on the transition they're lining up opposite their players, which is okay if you're in the middle of the field and you know that they're going to drive at you. But if you know they're trying to get to one side of the pitch, I would start to funnel my defensive players more towards there, stop France from being able to play around the single shooters, and then you create more pressure. You create more roll balls, more opportunities for errors, and ultimately more opportunities for turnovers. I think France will massively outweigh Ireland in the forced turnover stat, and if Ireland can start to equate that and start to put more pressure on, force more turnovers, and then have more possession, they're going to have more success. It seems like a very easy recipe, but when you're playing against a team like France, it's far from that.
And France, I guess, more of the same in large part. Is there anything they need to tighten up, or just keep going as they are?
Just more of the same. You know, first game, first day, it's exactly what you want. It's exactly what you want. You're just warming through your processes. France started a little bit slow, which is what was expected. And then they started to warm through their transition, which then gave them real confidence in both defence and attack. We saw their transition run really smoothly, the first couple of chances they had. And then when they got into their attacking phase, they had maybe 1 or 2 touches to play with, and that is an ideal situation. And then when you've got players who are so adept at executing in those circumstances, it's a recipe for tries. And yeah, the only thing I would say is maybe getting off your line a little bit more in defence. The 3 tries that came for Ireland came from defenders retreating back on their line and not getting off to make the touch. Apart from that, it's a golden start for France.
It certainly is, and with 2 minutes to go at half-time, France are already out on the pitch, ready to go. They are absolutely buzzing to get going with this. Ireland with that deficit to make up, still having their chat at half-time. But while we've got a couple of minutes before we go for the second half, worth us looking forward to the 6:50 kickoff, the final game of this opening evening, mixed under 18. So we jump up an age group, well, we jump up 3 age groups in fact. Belgium against the host nation England. That's going to be one that really gets this home crowd going, and there are some absolutely we know about this England side, there are some cracking players there, and Belgium, I've heard, have got some top players as well. We've got another sibling set, Oscar and Bo Roland playing for Belgium, but with the likes of Oliver Simon playing for England. and Sam Dixon as well. They've got some absolute crackers in that England side. It's one to get excited about.
Oh yeah, I've got to say, and I'll get it in early before he sees it on commentary when he reads it back. But yeah, big up Dicko. He's going to be. This is a big one for him. I know he was. He's so looking forward to it. I've been seeing him over the past NTS rounds, and that's the big one, and we're going to end today with that. But oh, that's one to get excited for. It really is.
It certainly is. That one coming up at 6:50 p.m. the final game of this opening day of the Atlantic Youth Touch Cup. But until then, we have an absolute rip-roarer of a game on our hands here. France against Ireland in the mixed under 15s. France are leading 7-3, and we are just about ready for the second half. And France get us going in their blue shirts. Alexander Licht gets it going, and he's already got a score to his name from that first half. And France already making rapid progress, working towards the try line. Can they get the final pass in? They managed to get it across. Ireland do well to cover, though. The player just a little too deep for France.
That's the early turnover you want for Ireland. You force a touch and pass through defensive pressure. Now look, they're building through the transition. The two men off straight away. Fresh legs are on the field now. Extra yards made down the wing. And they'll have fresh legs on almost immediately. Couple touches to play with. Just going a little bit too lateral. We'll need to scoop.
As you say, Finnan just pointing, we need to go forward, and look at the footwork from him. And if that one can stick, oh, they might just have had an opening, but France have possession.
Yeah, it's just that, you know, that second touch after they get fresh legs on was just a little bit too static, and it allowed France to just encroach all of that space, create loads of pressure for the scooping player, and unfortunately Ireland weren't able to go anywhere. But this is just a clinic in transition from France, really, just getting the ball down nice and early, creating loads of space for the players, working the ball open side, passing the ball off when needed. It's just unfortunate now. France have given away 2 touch passes, but you could flip that on its head and say Ireland are now putting on a lot more pressure and have forced 2 touch passes. And this is the possession you want for Ireland.
Absolutely. These errors we weren't seeing in the first half. So the Ireland defence obviously starting to put some real pressure on, and ghosting through. They go. Oscar Dunn getting all the way to the line. The dive comes in. Surely try is going to be given there. Stunning, stunning play from Oscar Dunn. And look at him celebrate there. He knows that was special. He knows that was very, very special.
Yeah, and this is the reward you get for sustained pressure. They forced, you know, yes, you forced a turnover and you gave the ball away. We won't talk about that one. But then you forced a turnover a second time and went up the other end and made it count. And now that we're starting to see Ireland really start to push the pace in terms of their drive and their transition, they're going to be running against offside players more often than in the first half. Oh, lovely, though, lovely core skills. That's just catch and pass round the outside for France, and that is the reply you want. Superb.
Well, instant response from France to the Ireland try, and Ace Hamelin finishes it off. But this is just what they've done all day, isn't it? It's just sweep up the field, and that instant response to the score is just a dagger to the Irish hearts.
Yeah, what's nice about this French side as well is every single player in this team has shown that they can do the core skills extremely well. They can all pick their head up, they can all look and find a pass. You know, beautiful little check-off to create the 2-on-1. And I think it's the sheer volume of core skills that makes life so hard for this Ireland side.
Finnan dives to the line. Looks as though he's going to have to play again. Finnan going close. Not sure he was quite expecting that ball back. Almost stumbled as he caught it. Touch comes in though, France possession. And just look at the way they sweep up the field here. Not even been touched yet. Now they have, and they're already all the way up to their subs box. This is just masterful from France.
Yeah, it's that first touch. That first touch, they're just able to pass around that male link too easily, too consistently. And it's just too good for Ireland to deal with at the moment. The core skills are just really outclassing Ireland. And you know, curse the commentator, as I compliment the core skills, the catch and pass goes to ground.
Well, what seemed noticeable there, though, was that although France swept right the way up to their box, after they'd got their players on, Ireland did really well to get a couple of touches in and just force them a little further through their touch count than they wanted to be.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that the refs have just called that one back. But Ireland are starting to work through their defensive structures. They're starting to create more pressure. They're starting to get up in the face more often. But it's these instances that are causing them too many problems when they're retreating and then having to check across. You've surrendered too much ground initially, and then France have got the momentum behind them. So you'd like to see, you know, 2 players going up together rather than just one, you know, and then if 2's not working, then you go to 3, and you just stop this France side from being able to pass around these shooters too easily.
France get through their 6 without scoring, so Ireland now work towards their box. Now, I don't want to start hat chat too early, but I know I'm going to over the course of the weekend, so I may as well begin where I mean to leave off as Finnan starts to sweep around the outside, but the touch comes in. But I don't want to criticise the refs, but we've got a referee here. In an evening kickoff on a cloudy day, with the sun really already set as far as this pitch is concerned, yep, wearing a visor.
It's part of the kit nowadays, isn't it? We know that refs, you know, touch players, because it's non-contact, you can get away with some extra style. I've got a feeling we're going to see plenty of bucket hats throughout the rest of the day, plenty of visors. The Aussie hats are out in force as well. They were at least throughout the NTS. Not so sure about the visor choice for the referee, but each to their own. Each to their own.
Well, you say each to their own. I'm going to maintain a steady volley of strong hat opinion as the weekend progresses. Visors in an evening kickoff.
Shall we have a commentary award for best hat of the weekend? Do we keep an eye out for it? Best hat.
I'll already tell you which way I'm leaning. It's anyone not wearing a hat is gonna get my award.
See, I'm a fan of the big bucket hat for me. Love it.
France diving for the line. Looks like it's going to be awarded, and looks like Alexandre Licht has his hat trick.
Revving up the crowd a little bit as well as he throws the ball back. We love that. We love that. It's a really nice short side quickie now. It looks to play on the link, gets her on the outside of the link, steps back on the inside. Unfortunately, yes, the link does make the touch, but the link never hit the line. So it's just called offside. The covering defender doesn't make it. And now for the first time we see the brothers on the field together, and I wonder if they're going to create some magic.
Yeah, the gap is out to 5, and Ireland have obviously decided now is the time to hit the hammer. And the 2 Finnan brothers on the field at the same time. First time in the entire game. John there has it. On to Philip. Back to John. Now Philip again. Back to John. Back to Philip. Dives to the line. Touch comes in. I think if these 2 are on together, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think probably the play for them, because the France side will know what a weapon each of them is to think about using one as a decoy and play around them.
Yeah, so what I would do is I would quickie as they are, because their quickies are obviously effective, but then once you get to 4th touch, then you fizz it open side to your other male. And you say, go on, you take on your number. We've condensed the defence because they're worried about our threat, although France... Oh!
Well, if we're awarding prizes for footwork, Enzo Cortial has just put his hat in the ring in some style. Just look at this.
Boom! Oh my word. He knows. Head in hands immediately. Lovely left foot step. The French contingent at the bottom of the pitch. Absolutely love it. What a step. You don't get many people who have that in the locker.
And I honestly think Finnan did almost nothing wrong there. He had to chase across hard. The numbers were there. The gap was there. He closed it incredibly well, but nothing any player on the planet can do when faced with footwork like that, and from a 14, 15-year-old. Oh, it's special out there. It is very, very special, and France are leading 10-4.
Oh, France are just playing so well at the moment. They overworked it massively, but it's just to flex their muscles ever so slightly. Depends. Sideline ref might have a chat. Oh, touch is given. Touch is given.
The sideline ref gets me out of a hole, but I'm going to go for it anyway. It was Konstant Nogachevsky that was diving for the line there. Constance, do get in touch if I've got that one incorrect, as France go again, and it's Valentin Verollet who dives across. Is the try going to be awarded? Yes, it is. 12-4, and that is probably going to be that. That's absolute nonsense. We've got 10 minutes left to go.
It's insane is what it is from France. What they did is they very clearly, that pod that was on there, run their sweeper platform really well. We saw a variant of it, the play before, slightly overworked, which allowed Ireland to get across and make the cover in touch. But then they just run a more simple variation, and then it's just speed on speed, and who can win the race, and France do in the end.
So the Finnan brothers on at the same time once more. And just look how condensed that France defence is around them. The space wide, and they do go to it. Pass just didn't perhaps go forward enough, but they still get across the line. And Ireland take advantage of the threat that those Finnan brothers possess to then shift the ball wide and score a much-needed try.
Yeah. That's exactly what I do. That's exactly what I do, because their entire defence is condensed. Too worried about the two danger men running things in the middle, and then the ball gets whipped out onto the open side, and the winger is very grateful for it. But you can't help but feel if Ireland could do more of that, then this deficit would be a lot closer than it currently is. Because at the moment, just maybe showing their hand a little bit too early to the French defence. Oh, lovely.
France. Oh, good handling. Have they got the finesse in the corner there? The defence gets across really well. But now they need numbers out on the right-hand side. And again, actually, Ireland's scramble to get their numbers there is fantastic, but France just keep coming forward in waves, and Ireland, in fact, Ireland actually make the sixth touch.
Yeah, they scrambled really well then just to reset their defence. It was very unorganised, very rough, but they scrambled well, but France are really punishing them in their transition, not giving them any joy.
Ireland up across halfway, and having scored, they've now split the Finnan brothers up. Just thought he might have ghosted through, but not quite that time. I am working on bringing you the Ireland try scorer, by the way. Just was a little blindsided on the number, so we will try and dig that one out for you in just a few seconds. It's France. Move up towards the left-hand side. Right-hand side, rather.
Oh.
Good footwork again from France. The quality of their footwork has just been a joy to behold at times as they start to move the ball through the hands of touches well made by Kelleher. Now France. And again, Ireland's defence comes up with the answers.
Yeah, Ireland working through the kinks in their defence now. You know, not biting so much to the off-the-ball players. Their post touch has become a lot more clean, making sure that they've got defenders on side when the attacker's running forward. It's just whether they can turn this transition into a viable attack. At the moment, they're getting stopped, you know, around the halfway line too often. But this is the opportunity now. You're in good area. You want to scoop through, create the opportunity.
There's space out wide, but France track across and make the touch. Molly Coughlin making the point that it was quite a firm touch. The referee was happy with it. And I think over the course of the weekend, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't say no to the touches being on the firmer side.
No, you know me. If you were listening to Nationals last year, especially men's, I love contact in touch. I really do. And you do get the occasional ref that loves it too, and then it's like it's a match made in heaven.
Annie Fitzsimmons, by the way, I think it was, that scored Ireland's last try as France
what a touch.
almost get across for the score. That brilliant touch comes in.
Number 11 for Ireland has been incredibly solid on this near side link.
Yeah, Ahmed David O'Byrne has been fantastic. Not quite sure what's happened here, but France have possession.
I think it was off the mark, and the French winger just clapped the Ireland player and went, "Give me the ball." They don't want to slow this game down at all. They want to run through their paces.
An 11-5 lead, and France wanting more and more and more, as unfortunately there Punier's feet give way underneath him. And it's that danger duo, Punier and Martin Mendez Lopez. And Punier, has he got that down? I think the touch has just come in. There's going to be a bit of a conference here between the referees. The Ireland player is claiming the touch was made. Punier looks as though he thinks the touch was made.
Yep.
And the referees all agree. Always a giveaway when the player that's done the scoring also thinks they've been touched. Might have another go here, though, as Punier goes diving in. It was a brilliant attempt to make the touch from the Irish player.
Superb. Touch just gets given, and that's that painting the good picture to the ref. He's off the line, flying off the line, making the touch. Good little battle on show here.
It was Oscar Dunn making that touch. He scored that magical try, and it could be a try there. Not quite. Finnan makes the touch. Oscar Dunn, though, it was with that superb flying touch just a few seconds ago, as here comes the threat in pink. Martin Mendez Lopez, but the touch came in, and Ireland have possession, and Finnan is just caught there. Perhaps needed to move the ball rather than move the feet.
That attack for France didn't come off, but that pod is incredibly impressive. The way that they work through their attacking structures, and then the intensity when they turn the ball over and it doesn't come to fruition, the intensity to get up and make defensive stoppages, force errors from Ireland. Now, this is fifth.
And it's that combination, isn't it, of 4 and 5 for France, Punier and Martin Mendez Lopez. They're just, I mean, two brilliant players, but they work so well together.
Oh, superb. And she's impressed me especially. She's the brain seems to outlast everyone else. The knowledge of touch on display from this France side has been incredibly impressive. They've stuck predominantly with their sweeper platforms, but in addition to their sweeper platforms, they've also used 32 setups and the occasional quickie set, and it just keeps this Ireland side guessing in defence. They don't know what they're going to face next, and you know, when you're doing that and when you're constantly chasing shadows, as Ireland have been on occasion in this game, it gives it you all to do, especially when you can't build any momentum to get down the other end and force any errors in your favour.
Ireland, with 2.5 minutes left to play, probably know this one is beyond them as they just make the error there, but they would love just to tighten the scoreboard up a touch heading into the next 3 days of competition. France, on the other hand, thinking, let's do as much as possible. But for the first time all game, really, as France get into transition, they make an error. I don't think we've seen that at all so far today, as a heavy contact comes in. All accidental, actually, I think, but could have been a painful one. Finnan to Finnan, back to Finnan. These two just sharing the ball between each other, but just losing control of it there, and France explode into life. Ireland do well though, early touch, and they get a second reasonably early one in as well, and they may just have found the key to stopping this French transition. It's too late for this game, but a lesson learned for the rest of the competition.
Yeah, definitely. They were able to stop being passed around on touches 1 and 2 on the end of their transition, which is so important. But France have been able just to save touches by passing around in the midfield. Instead, it's like, what can you do to stop them? Cut to the open side, tries to go all the way through, but Finnan is just too fast and closed off the space early. 50 seconds to go. This French side look electric when on the ball. Ireland trying to build into their transition. Unfortunately, that 6 touch just given, just losing track of the touch count, surrendering good field position to France, and France now have an opportunity with their danger pod on the field to go and make some meters, closing in the last 15 seconds of the game. France will want to go and put icing on the cake, go and get a try just before the hooter goes, finish happy.
Round they go, touch comes in, but there's going to be time for them to get one last attempt in. The pass doesn't quite go to hand. Ireland will want this fast. They'd love to just score before the hooter. Can they go the length? They're going to have to be quick about it. Just overrun things there. It's all slowed up a little bit. Can this man, Magical Dunn, do something? We see again just an example of his footwork there, though. Dancing around the outside they go. There's a bit of space there for O'Neill, but it's all over. I don't know, I didn't hear the hooter. I don't know about you, but obviously an issue with the hooter, but fortunately, despite the visor, the referees are an organised bunch and they've got their own timekeeping devices going on as well. So it all finishes up here between, well, what to the early eye looks like 2 teams that are going to be fighting it out at the very top end of this competition, with France beating Ireland 11-5, but as I say, 2 very, very good teams. Yeah, bright sparks for both teams as well. And you've got to remember, this is the first game for these guys. It's a 4-day tournament. Some of the issues will be able to be worked through. France will obviously be happier with the result than Ireland, but Ireland also showed some really good stuff, especially when they started to tighten up their defence towards the latter stages of the game. Then both teams will be able to find moments to celebrate in that game, regardless of the scoreline. They certainly will, and well, look at these scenes on the pitch. We're on day 1, game 2. This is touch. France just await to applaud Ireland through their tunnel, but awaiting France after the polite duties are done and dusted is going to be an absolute sea of French supporters. Just wait until this little bit of ceremony is done, and then we are going to see just what it means to this group of French players, their friends, their families and their supporters. Just look at this. They've been called over by the referee. He's trying to tell them that they've got to go off the pitch the other way, I think. But France, don't listen to him, lads. Don't listen. Get yourselves off by the supporters. I think that the referees are deciding they want a photo, so we're going to have to wait just a moment longer for this. I think the refs have recognised the greatness that was on the pitch. They're like, we'll get a photo before you guys blow up. We'll say that we were in here early, we were in here early doors. Well, we refed you when you were still no one. Well, 2 fantastic groups of players. France were just outstanding as they now go through their adoring friends, families and supporters. Through they go, and something tells me that France are going to be a team at every age group to keep an eye on, both on the field for the entertainment, but also off the field for what is clearly a passionate set of travelling support. Oh, I love it. I love it. And, if this is your entry point to touch rugby, that's touch. That's touch rugby. The community side of it, prioritising, congratulating your opposition on a really hard run game, and then going to celebrate with everyone who's taken, it takes time, effort, money to come down, support. It's just fantastic, and I think touch as a sport, these are the types of celebrations that the sport grows from. When you've got, such a French contingent coming down to show love for the entirety of the French teams that are down, I think it's just a testament to what this sport can achieve. It certainly is. finishes up France 11, Ireland 5 in the mixed under-15s, and we now switch across to the mixed under-18s and what is sure to be another very, very special encounter. It is Belgium up against the hosts, England. That one coming up in about 6 minutes' time. Do stay with us.